just bear with me for a second here. Okay, cool. So yeah, welcome everyone to today's webinar. Like I mentioned, today's topic is about, we're going to talk about AccuFace, but we're going to talk about other facial motion capture techniques. I'm going to be using LiveFace with the iPhone. I'm also going to be doing some more advanced facial editing stuff at the end of today's webinar. Hopefully we have enough time to go through a lot more things, because I know there's way more to iClone facial animation than just motion capture. So I want to kind of explore basically everything related to facial animation, and we'll talk almost exclusively about that in today's webinar. So welcome again, and make sure that you guys are aware that we're going to have a live demo, and after the live demo we're going to have a Q&A. So if you have any questions throughout today's live demo, please put your questions in the Zoom panel under Q&A there. I may be checking up the chat window every once in a while, putting links in there and stuff, but I won't be answering questions from the chat window, just so you're aware. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube, we are live streaming on YouTube as well, but I won't be answering questions from YouTube. But luckily, we are recording this, and we're going to be publishing it. Well, it's going to be published automatically on YouTube, and we'll be sending you guys out a link after today's webinar where you can review this on your own time. So don't worry about if you miss anything. Step away for coffee or tea. I just had made some tea myself, so don't be afraid to do that, and you can always review it later on your own time. Okay, cool. So you should be able to see my screen right now. This is kind of just the overview of what we're going to be talking about today. Nothing new here if you've already registered for today's webinar. Again, just all face stuff. Anything to do with facial animation we can talk about today. So get your questions locked and loaded, and we'll do that. I do want to mention that we are partnering with Rococo right now for their competition that's going on from December 5th to January 29th. This is a really cool challenge. Rococo TV and Reallusion is sponsoring some prizes for this. So make sure you check out the Rococo site, the Rococo Intergalactic Animation Challenge. You can see down here, there's a whole bunch more information, what the jury's looking for, but I know we all want to see the prizes. A whole ton of stuff here from various sponsors here, including Reallusion on the bottom right there. That's Character Creator and iClone 8. A bunch of other various stuff from Wacom, Steel Series, Kit Bash, etc., etc. So I highly recommend checking this out. And yeah, make sure if you are using Rococo stuff, or if not, you can always throw something in there as well, borrow some Rococo stuff. Anyways, that's just wanted to mention that for you guys here. In addition, we don't have much else to offer today, but if you are a student or a teacher, make sure you check out our Learning Center. I'm going to throw this link in the chat window for you guys. Just so you have it. Boom, bang, boom. The AI assistant is amazing, says Cameron. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we have the Rococo challenge link in there as well. Cool. All right. Yeah, so that's the link there for the education site, Global Training Center, it's called. And you can get 60% off discount if you're a teacher or a student. And if you're a teacher and you want to buy multiple licenses, this is where you inquire as well. All right, and as always, there's always cool stuff on the content store and the Reallusion software store. I think software store, we have something like 23% off. I think that represents the 23, should be more than that, days of Christmas. I'm not sure the number there, but anyways, check that out. You guys know where to go to find the content store and the software store. So I won't bother putting those links up. All right, and one final thing to mention as well. We're sending out the survey at the end of today's webinar. Fill out that survey, get a 10% discount for the content store. That is stackable with other discounts. So make sure you fill out the survey. Give us your thoughts on what you want to see in the future. And we'll be happy to integrate that into our webinar plans for later on. Okay, cool. I'm going to just close up everything here, and we're going to start in iClone. The first thing I'm going to demonstrate, of course, I think a lot of people are anticipating this, is AccuFace. So this is, again, our webcam and recorded video way to do facial motion capture. I'm gonna be the first demo I'm going to be doing here is using a recorded video that I recorded previously. All right, so I'm just going to throw in a character here. I'm in my regular iClone scene, and I'm going to search for. There's this cool pack. One of our developers, Angel Alonso. I can just search for Angel, and you'll find him here. this character, Derek character here. And the reason I'm loading him in front of everyone here is because I want to make sure that we're all aware of facial profiles as well. Now, this is kind of mainly something that's involved in Character Creator when you're creating your character, when you're setting all of their various expressions and blend shapes. I'm just going to press the J hotkey to zoom in on my character's face. And right here, Angel has included what's called a CC facial profile. So this is this is pretty important to have, especially if you're using characters that are unconventional, like stylized characters or characters with all kinds of different facial proportions. The thing I kind of compare it to is when you're trying to retarget a body motion, for example. If you have a guy with like huge lanky legs and you have a motion that's, the motion capture is from a regularly proportioned individual, and you try to apply that to the guy with long gangly legs, it has to be what's called retargeted. And same thing goes if you try to apply an expression, a facial expression that's set for like a regular creator character, to a really weird character that has huge eyes or weird proportions. You do often want to use a facial profile. And I can answer more questions about that later. Like I mentioned, this is more focused on the character creation aspect of your character. So generally, this would already be included with most of your conventional characters that you've already created in Character Creator. But again, feel free to ask me more about that. I'm going to just load in this profile here just to make sure that we have all the right things. So these are the blend shapes that I mentioned earlier. Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail on that. Just be aware that those are going to optimize the facial expressions for the character. Okay, cool. And I want to go a little bit back here, get some bit better lighting for my toon character. There's a pack called Adjustment and Balance Morphs. And just use this default lighting here. I think this looks a little bit better for our character, just makes him look a bit smoother. Yeah, cool. We'll just work with this. All right, so we'll finally go into AccuFace here where you can see my face. Let me just go to my desktop here and bring up AccuFace. Now I have a little bit of a different camera angle today. Oh, goodness gracious. That's not going to be good. Let me try and, I know this has to do with zoom settings here. If this isn't going to work, then we're going to be a little bit hooped in the end. Let me just make sure that it's not just a single use thing. Video mode. Okay, well we're going to use video mode eventually in the end, anyways. I guess you won't be able to see my face until the video appears. Now source. Maybe if I change the camera. No, it's not working either. I wonder if my camera's not plugged in properly. I'm going to take a look at this in a bit anyways. It should be plugged in properly, but you will be able to see my face because the first demo anyways, luckily, is using a video source here. And luckily I have a video calibration source already loaded in as well. So I think probably Zoom messed this up. So apologies for that, guys. But we'll go to the video source anyways. Luckily, if your camera just decides to like funk out like mine just did, you can go to video here as well. Okay, so with video, I'm going to load up a video here. There's a couple videos that I'm going to load. And the first video I'm going to load is called a calibration video that I've already created. Now, when you go into AccuFace, generally what you want to do is you want to use a calibration video to there's kind of four steps of calibration, and you'll see those in just a moment here. And I purposefully took this video here in portrait mode, not landscape mode. Okay, and because I want to change the orientation. If you have a portrait video, you can always just use this orientation button here to change it, change the orientation. And apologies for my funky hair here. You can see this was before it doesn't look like this right now. But anyways, just load in your video source right there. And we're going to use this for our calibration. Now, if I play this, it's just a few seconds long here. Pay attention to my eyes. They go up, my eyebrows go up, and then down like this. And then this one here, I always have trouble with putting both of my eyebrows up in the middle. I know some of you have very expressive eyebrows. Like if you've seen what's her name from Emilia Clarke, I believe is her name from Game of Thrones. The one who plays the prince or the queen there. She has really expressive eyebrows. I unfortunately don't. They're just big bushy things that sit in the middle of my face here. But you want to have those 4 steps in your calibration video. And I recommend if you find yourself often recording in the same environment, what you want to do is you want to save your calibration video or your calibration as a JSON as well. So to do that, go up to calibrate facial capture here, and you just want to find a frame of your capture here that is a neutral expression. So again, I'm just going to play back here. Again, anything here is fine. That's fairly neutral. And you can just go with neutral face right here. Just click on set expression. All right. And then the next one here, there is brow raise. So I'm just going to go up to where my brows are raised like that and click on that, set expression. And the reason we have all this calibration, it makes the eyebrow and the eye performance in AccuFace really good. We'll talk more about that later. If I can get the video working, we'll talk more about that later. We'll compare it to LiveFace and talk about the benefits and drawbacks of each. So we'll go to now to brow drop and then set expression again. And then you can see this, brow raise, inner raise. That's the best I can do. So apologies for that. And just go set expression there. Now, once you have set the brow inner raise there, mine's not too good. You can actually go to adjust brow inner raise and you can raise the inner brow value a little bit, lower the outer brow value a little bit, and then just go ahead and close that. And then once, if you're, like I said, if you're going to be recording in the same area, same lighting, everything, you can just go ahead and save your facial capture calibration profile here. And I'll just save that to the same AccuFace folder. Let's call it temp2, since I already have a temp there, it looks like. Okay, so go ahead and save that. So our calibration is done. We have the calibration profile saved, which means if we can bring in any amount of videos that have the same kind of setting, the same distance from the camera. Again, it's not too picky, but for the best results, you want to try and keep things consistent. So let's go ahead and close this down now and load up our iClone once again. Now, to keep your AccuFace window on top, you can just click this button up here. It says window always on top. Just click that, and it'll always be on top. And I'll just kind of scale it down a little bit here, because we don't need all this stuff anymore. As you can see my face a little bit still. And I'm going to have my character selected and go to plugins and motion live. There we go. All right, so I'm going to just throw that AccuFace thing up there in the top left. And so we have everything calibrated. We have our character selected. We want to choose as our facial gear AccuFace. Okay. It's already connected. No worries there. You can see that the IP is the same internal IP. Generally, you don't have to change this. And then just for your character's face, just choose AccuFace. Cool. Okay, now we're all done. If I just go ahead and preview this, it's going to automatically, let's actually just go back to, let's escape, go back to frame 1 here and preview this. Okay, so this is my calibration. See, it works okay. My breathing is pretty loud in my headphones. I don't know if it's loud in your headphones, but I could hear myself breathing like a wheezing or something. Anyways, okay, let's load in our other video then. So the calibration is all done. And once the calibration is done, I have another video file that's, in the same kind of environment. Like I said, this time I have headphones on, but that doesn't really matter. So it's not affecting my facial features. And it's going to ask you, would you like to keep your facial capture calibrations? We can select yes here since we just did it. Or if we don't want to, we can load it in once again. So just press yes here. Okay, let's go ahead and preview this now, and you should be able to hear my voice.
Wow, that's far out, dude. This AccuFace thing is actually pretty cool.
Okay, so I think the performance is, fairly decent. There's a few things that we're going to be able to edit a little bit later on. And that's what I'm going to be showing you in the first little part here. Let's go ahead and Oh, so stop. We can stop previewing that first of all, and let's go ahead and record it. So then once we record it, I'm going to show you some brief facial editing, and we're going to then do some facial editing with various tools here. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and press record.
Wow, that's far out, dude. This AccuFace thing is actually pretty cool.
Okay, so that gave us our initial source here. Now, what I didn't do here is there's an option for audio for Visine track. Okay, and when we have this enabled, it's going to utilize AccuLips. And before I mentioned that, AccuFace, it's really good on eyes and eyebrows and nose and stuff and upper cheeks, that area. And maybe the mouth performance, we'll talk about that later when we compare it to LiveFace. But you can utilize AccuLips, which is our automatic lip syncing technology at the same time. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is play back this one. Let's press F3 and go into the timeline and just use this button to set our project end frame right there. And we'll just go out. We don't need that anymore. So we can see it right here. No audio, right? But we have the lips and everything there. So what I want to do is I'm just going to right click on my character, remove object animation, make sure we're at frame 1. And this time I'm going to go audio for Visine track, and we're using an AccuFace video file here. We're not doing the live recording. The video file has the audio included, and optimization, we're using AccuLips. We definitely want to use AccuLips here. Okay, and now when we record, make sure we're at frame 1 again here. I'm just going to go ahead and record.
Wow, that's far out, dude. This AccuFace thing is actually pretty cool.
Okay, so what that does is that actually gives us some AccuLips data to work with. Previous to that, we only had the expression data, but now we have AccuLips data, we have expression data, and we have some audio in there as well. So we can close down everything. You can see the eyes closed here. It doesn't really matter. Let's close everything down. Okay, and
Wow, that's far out, dude. This AccuFace thing is actually pretty cool.
okay, and we'll just kind of end the project there. So now I'm going to go into the timeline and do some editing here. Let's make that our last frame. And if we go into our character, we can open up the expression and Visine tracks. We don't need the motion and transform right now. So just focus on these 2 tracks right now. I'll bring it down a little bit. And you can see we have a Visine clip and an expression clip. So the Visine is the AccuLips lip sync. That's all the AccuLips lip sync data here. And you can see that it has all the words. Wow, that's pretty far out, dude. This you can see didn't spell AccuLips right, because there's no AccuLips in the dictionary. we just made it up. It's actually pretty cool. Everything else is pretty cool. So I think we're okay with the lip syncing. Again, if you want to correct the lip syncing, I can do that a little bit later. I'm going to just do it really quick here just to show you how you do it. If you right click on your character there, or on your AccuLips clip, and go to AccuLips, you can see here's our script. Okay, so wow, that's far out, dude. It said dud instead of dude. Again, the Visine shapes are going to be the same for that, but we can just add a dude there. And you probably want to transliterate AccuLips. That'll be fine, I think. It's actually pretty cool. And then just go ahead and realign it and reapply it, and it'll just have the same thing here. And select apply. Okay, cool. So now we have basically the same thing.
That's far out, dude.
Okay, now what you can do here is you can modify. You can see here there's like a D, like a dude, and then he goes like a ooh, like that. We're going to talk about how you can kind of refine this and edit this. If I double click on each one of these like Visine keyframes, you can see it here. You can see that you can decrease or increase the expressiveness. This one's very slight because it's mostly using the expressiveness from the character's face, from the expression clip. But these AccuLips keyframes here are used to kind of emphasize the correct facial mouth shapes. All right, that's what I was trying to say. All right, and then you also below here, you have the lips options. Now, if you want, you can right click on this and go into lips options. There's options here to smooth out the lips, tongue, and jaw. Again, this I don't use too often, to be honest. Unless there's really bad performance and a lot of jittering, then you can actually increase this level here. If you want to increase the level of like the the Visine lips expressiveness, again, this is just the lip strength for the Visine shapes. You can try and increase that maybe, and you can try like apply it. Let's go some like frame right here, maybe something like this. And if we take our lips strength up right here and go apply and okay, it'll actually increase the level of ooh on our woo right there. All right. Now, like I said, I don't really normally use that too much when I'm doing lip syncing. That's normally, for jittering and stuff like that. So I won't go too much into that. But there's one thing I want to focus on here as well. And this is if we zoom in our character's face, you can see when he's saying that. Woo. If we zoom in on his tongue here, his tongue kind of goes through the his teeth a little bit. Now, there's a number of different ways you can adjust this. You can see right there, it goes like kind of flickers into his teeth there. You can go to the TH and you can decrease the level of TH right there. Okay, so you can see the tongue goes into his teeth there. If you find a situation like this, often you can just use the expressiveness of that particular Visine shape and decrease it. So this would still be okay as a the. Okay, it's just the, it's behind his teeth, the. Some people say the, they put their tongue out. But again, I would probably, just as an ease of use here thing, just decrease the level of expressiveness there. You can see it kind of comes out there. You can go to the ah, and you can increase the ah. That'll give us more space for the tongue or less space for the tongue. And that's just that's the first easy fix. All right. Let me just see here if there's a way. Shut down. Let me just take a quick look. I'm just going to write a quick message here. Because I definitely want to be able to use AccuFace later when I compare it to the live sync or the LiveFace using iPhone. If I don't get the webcam conflict resolved, then I won't be able to see that. We'll just be able to see the one. But anyways, okay, so there you go. That's kind of the easiest way to fix those things. And what I'm going to do next here is we're going to take a look at expression smoothing as well for the brows. So that's the AccuLips correction. Here, there's various Visine keyframes you can use. Another thing you can do is, I'm just going to turn the volume down on this because I don't want to be annoying you guys with all that weird kind of record scratching type noise. Now look at this right here. Here's one thing that I noticed. If you take a look at the character's right eyebrow, for example, one thing you can do here is notice right here, it kind of goes up and down, like in a weird kind of up and down thing like that. If I want to smooth that out, it's really easy to do. What you can do is actually break out use your puppet clip here and right click and break. And right here, it was kind of just bouncing up and down. So you can see it a bit better. And if I right click on that side and just break it, what you can do here is you can right click on your puppet clip there. And you can try to do like various things here. The first thing I often try to do is smooth the expression clip. Okay. And if you click on smooth the expression clip, there's specific areas for the brow. And the one area I wanted to fix was the right brow there. So if I try and say, for example, take this up to like 50, for example, and apply that. Now you'll see that from here to here, that brow will remain stationary. It won't bounce up and down like it did before. So, and then of course you can see it'll kind of clip from here to here. So what you want to make sure you do is just click and drag a little transition area over top of that little area there. Oops. And blend it in nicely. Let's make sure I get the right size here. There we go. So then we have fix that brow bouncing. Okay. And it blends nicely into the other part without clipping too much. So that's like a really quick and like dirty way to just kind of if you find a little bit of bouncing or a little bit of clipping on a certain facial feature, that's one way to do it. That's one way to really kind of easily adjust that. There's various other things you can do. We'll talk about more of the detailed stuff a little bit later. But let me just go through this with the audio one more time so I can see if I can find another area to fix here.
Wow, that's far out, dude. This
Okay, now here you can see my eye closes a little bit too much. I'm going to just bring up the source video here so you can kind of see the comparison. Let me just bring it over to this window here.
wow,
Okay, let's try and get it at the same. All right, so there's me. um,
dude. This
okay, so after he says dude, he kind of has a wink, and you can still, so the eye behavior is not ideal there. And after I say dude,
wow, that's far out, dude. This
okay, so you can, I mean, like my eyes, I have weird messed up eyes, so it looks like it's closed, and so AccuFace kind of just thought that was closed. So something like that, that's what it would be. But I want to obviously want to fix that. And again, the easiest way to fix something like that is to go into your expression layers here. So we'll talk more about the expression layer stuff in detail a little bit later on, but let's just do a quick and dirty fix right now just to get that eye not closing so much. So we'll start here. And for this, we need to use the edit motion layer tool, the face key editor, okay, for the face, not the body. Okay, so I'll bring that up. Now there's various things you can do to adjust the muscles here. And there's different muscles that you can explore in the expression tracks, which we'll talk about later on. But for this one, a quick and easy fix. What you do is just click on something like you can click on reset to 0. Doesn't matter, or revert. It's going to give you a universal key right here. And we're going to be only adjusting the muscles. You can also use the eye blink technically in this one, but if I want to go where like the eyes closing too much, I can then go into like, the character's right eyelid there and like lift it up a little bit. And you can see there's a little bit of like mesh breakage when I do that though. So it's like, not ideal. And if we go into further into the eyes here, you can see that, if we click and drag it, it's not moving at all. So, I kind of like this level, but I want to open it up a little bit more. If you want to open up a little bit more, you can also adjust the expressiveness. But be aware when you adjust expressiveness, it adds another keyframe here in the expressiveness track. So in situations where, you can universally lower the expressiveness for every facial feature and make it more smooth, you can just use the expressiveness slider right here, okay? You can use that live slider right there. I'm going to delete that keyframe since I don't want it. And you can also go into the modify panel here. So the modify panel is for situations like this where you see, you try to click and drag and the eye is not opening enough. You're like, dang it, like, come on, open up higher. The way you can adjust that is go into something like eye blink, okay? You can, maybe for this one, eyelid is probably a better one. So eye wide, you can see the right, okay? You can increase or decrease that level there. Now this one, it looks like that mesh breakage is still happening there. So again, we want to avoid that mesh breakage. So you can mess around with all the various eye values right here. And if it's like still doing this, you can do something like put a negative value, so like -50, for example. Okay. Obviously that's a little bit too much, but maybe like -25. Again, not enough. So, something like this. And you can also manually put the eye in more in as further in as well. I think maybe -38 would do. Oh, even -40. Again, but this one here, and if you look at something like the eyeball, this is it's not going to affect your character's eyelid there. You need to go into other things and move the eyeball back a little bit manually. That got more complicated than I wanted it to be, but there you go. We'll work with that anyways. It involves adjusting various different eye values here, like the eye squint and eye, everything like that. So I'll just go here and maybe at this point here, you can just reset it, reset to 0 or revert. Okay. Revert will just take it back to the value that you have in your clip there, or reset to 0. Again, the blinking is too much. So maybe make it a little bit further down. Okay, that's a bit more accurate to what I was like. what I looked like. Sorry, this thing is like just annoying me here. That's a bit more accurate to what I look like as in the actual video here. So right there, for example, I mean, it's not exactly the same, but it's a bit more representative of how closed my eye was as opposed to completely shut. So that's another way you can do it. And that's just the basic muscle editing for one facial feature. Now we'll talk later about going into here and talking about the feature tracks and the morph tracks, and that'll be in the last part of our demo today. And that'll be some of the more detailed stuff. Let me just take a quick look here. I'm going to try and change my zoom setting here before I move on, just so we can see AccuFace. I'm going to have AccuFace shut down right now and going into my zoom panel here. So many things when there's conflicting uses of the webcam here. I didn't even use video on this, so let me see if I can just select OBS video in Zoom. Apologies for the troubleshooting on the fly, guys. Let's see if this works out here. Nope. It shows up, but properly plugged in and not in use. So it's definitely in use from Zoom. See if I can just change my video settings here real quick. Apologies for that, guys. Sure if there's a way I can just take out the video. Nope. Has anyone ever in the chat, has anyone encountered this sort of thing, conflict between Zoom? I know there's a USB and OBS, and it's probably just a matter of the switching between those two. Zoom is not letting me fix anything here. So if I use my OBS here, nope. I'm gonna have to try and fix that at the end of today's webinar, but there's some other stuff I want to go through before we do that. So I guess we'll move the LiveFace and the AccuFace comparison to the end of the webinar, and hopefully by that time I can get a way to fix this Zoom thing that's messing me up here. It's really jamming me up, Zoom. Oh, I can start my video. That's OBS video. Well, if anyone can see me. All right, we're just gonna work. We're just gonna work around that for now. Sorry about that, guys. I think the only thing you're really missing here is the comparison with the LiveFace and AccuFace. And again, hopefully you can get that resolved maybe in the Q&A when I have a bit more time, and we're not on a time limit to show you the other stuff in the live demo. But you're going to see some LiveFace stuff anyways. And so that's basically it for just some basic editing with this character here. And you can see there's various other things you can do as well, but we'll talk more about that later on. Let's go ahead and load up a project. And this was supposed to be the final project, but this will be kind of in the middle of our webinar today then. And this is kind of a situation, like when I often get asked by certain people just to do like, help them with corporate training videos or educational videos. And basically, I do scenarios like this all the time. There's marketing videos, advertising videos and stuff. And I'm going to show you guys a couple of ways that you can really easily just create dialogue back and forth. Now, this originally wouldn't involve motion capture, but I can throw in some motion capture with LiveFace a little bit later on. But I'm going to go ahead and work with some basic, so you don't have any facial motion capture and you just want to kind of create some expressions and have your characters talking back and forth. If you have something prepared, yeah, someone's here in the chat is mentioning, yeah. I mean, we did it. We did preview this with Zoom before, just not recording. So I think the recording might be what's causing an issue. Anyways, all right, cool. Sorry about that again, guys. But let's go ahead and start to take a look. So what I have here is I just have basically two scripts, two dialogues here. One character has a line each, and it's just a dialogue back and forth. And I'm going to show you kind of the scenario that I go through when this happens. I have two cameras here prepared. You can see I have an over-the-shoulder camera 2 for this character, and an over-the-shoulder camera 1 for this character. And they're just having a dialogue back and forth. And again, I do this so often that it's just kind of second nature to me almost right now. So if we play back, no one's talking. All right. But I do have a dialogue prepared. And to get your dialogue started, we're going to use AccuLips. I'm going to use AccuLips first. And on top of AccuLips, there's various other ways you can add expressiveness on top of that. But the one way I kind of wanted to focus on for that a lot of people have found useful in the past is to use what's the Digital Soul Content Pack. Now, I've mentioned this content pack in previous webinars, and I think it's super useful. I know it costs money, but I think it's pretty useful to pick up, and I've used it in tons of scenarios. Again, with the whole actor groups and the crowds, it may not be as useful for distant characters, but it's still useful for character dialogue back and forth. So I'm going to go over here to animation. And there's a pack called Digital Soul. You can just type in digital, and here it is. I'm going to throw this in the chat window for those of you who don't have it. See the product page here. The big long link. I'm just going to throw that in, whatever. You probably don't need this stuff. There we go. And let's throw that into the chat. Okay, so this is what I'm going to be using. And the reason I mention this pack is because it's pretty cool. There's a lot of stuff, just like some really like there's a lot of passive emotions, a lot of like active emotions. You can kind of preview them all here. They're really good for realistic dialogue back and forth. I can tell you I use it all the time. And this is often the way I start. I have some audio here that's prepared. And let's listen to audio 1.
I don't understand why they're talking for so long. I thought we did great on the project.
Okay, so this is kind of like the context here where the female and the male are talking back and forth. Just as a side here, this audio that I got for this are all generated from Replica Studio, which is a partnership we have, and they have some really great AI generated voices that you can use. You can just Google Replica Studio, and you can find their stuff. I might be able to explore it later, but let's go ahead and throw in the first script. But before I do that, I'm going to give my character a base emotion from the Digital Soul Pack. So she sounds pretty downtrodden, right? Not too happy. Let's go into press F3 and go into our timeline and bring this down a little bit. And I'm going to make sure my character is selected here. Sandra, her name is, and go into expression here. Now, there's a number of different templates here you can apply. So you can see here that we have look around, nervous, explore, look around, size up, considering. So you can like click on these and let's just throw in a couple of them. I'll close the timeline for now so we can see more of the content manager. So I'll just throw something in like scheming, for example. You can see the scheming eye talk here. Okay, I'm going to turn off the dialogue for now, just so we can see the facial expressions. Focus on those. So you can see she has kind of a very subtle, like evil kind of look on her face, right? And this is what I kind of like. If you press F3 and go into the timeline, it's not very long, this one, it seems. I have to go down. And we have to, let's bring the timeline up here again. There you can see it's only about 300 frames, but you can see it has just like a very kind of like subtle yet nice look to the character's face. Scheming. Let's try a couple more as you can kind of see how these sort of look. There's amused, there's comfortable. But we want to try something that's a little bit more like, not as confident, not as energetic. We want something a little bit more angry or confused. You can see there's disagree, there's disgust, there's displeased. Okay, so we throw that one in, play back a little bit. So this is someone that's, just kind of like, oh gosh, displeased. And then you can use something like impatient. Uh, no, disturbed is kind of one that's I like here. So here her eyebrows go up a little bit. Again, it's all really about the subtle facial performance. And there's so many in this pack that you can explore. You can really find something for anything, really. Down here, I think that try and find one that's maybe a little bit more depressed or you know, disapproved, something like that. There's even ones that have like a nervous swallow, like this one here, for example. You can see she'll be like, her eyes have just very nervous movement, and she does that little swallow with her mouth there. Okay. I'm not sure if you can see that on the Zoom streaming, but you can see here a little just subtle just swallow there. Okay, so these are super useful, like I said, for a number of different situations. And this is often what I use as a base sometimes for my performance. So let's go ahead and press F3. I'm going to delete all these clips right here now. And start from frame 1 here where she starts. And let's use something like, I don't know. Do like a disappointed or something like that. Maybe a doubtful, distaste. Something that goes for a bit longer. Disagree, maybe. I think it's the disagree one that I used before. So, or the disgust, maybe. This is a bit of a stronger one. Okay. All right. So this one's a bit, yeah, a bit better. Again, it's not long enough, maybe, but you can just throw a different one on there as well. And what I want to do next is just go ahead and enter in my script. So she has that base facial performance now. So we can just throw in a script on top of that. So go into modify and let's go into our create script over here under facial. And I'm going to use AccuLips. And I'm going to load in that same audio file I played for you earlier. That is this one right here. And we'll just generate text if we don't need to play it again. And I think this one has a pretty good transliteration. Just kind of, I don't know, understand why they're talking for so long. I thought we'd be great on the project. Okay, so perfect. We don't have to modify this one at all. You can see the transcription, rather, not transliteration. Transcription is perfect. So we can just go ahead and...
I don't understand why they're talking for so long.
Okay, looks good to me. We'll just go ahead and apply that. And that will be on our character now. So if we press F3 and go into our timeline, you can see this is the length of the Visine clip, along with all of the AccuLips keyframes right here. And we can maybe just mix in the disagree with the distrust one right here. Or disagree and disgust, rather. And then I'll put the volume on so you can see the results. So when it comes to, like, quick and dirty stuff, this is often what I just do, to be honest with you. Just get some...
I don't understand why they're talking for so long. I thought we did great on the project.
And you can see with this disagree one, she even has a slight head nod, a disagree head nod. So, like right here, you can see she just shakes her head. Okay, so that's kind of cool. I mean, that's like within like 3 seconds, like 30 seconds, we put in like 2 clips and we put in some AccuLips stuff. It just literally like under a minute. So again, if you're doing quick and dirty, like previs stuff, very useful as well. And then, of course, you can level on top of these expressions on top of that. But let's go ahead and try something in addition to that, which is look at. I know a lot of you may be familiar with look at. If you're not familiar, you definitely should be familiar with look at. It's a constraint you can add to your character's face. So we don't want him. I find that look at, you have to use it sparingly. You can't use look at to constantly have your character looking directly at something. Otherwise, it looks way too robotic. But let's go ahead and test that out. Let's go over to attributes here. And under attributes, with your character selected, you'll find a look at. So there's an option to look at camera or pick target. What I like to do is at frame 1, just pick target and then pick the target that we want, which is this head. And you can see it really just like throws her off into like a weird kind of Totally different pose, basically. You can use this enhanced CC characters with head turn morphs. Okay, and sometimes this works pretty well, sometimes it doesn't. What it does is it just kind of emphasizes the morphs around the neck for your character when they are, turning their head around. In this case, I don't think it looks too good. We'll kind of keep it like this, so it looks like she's actually looking at the guy. Again, you can adjust the weight for the head and the body. So she looks really disappointed there. You can just make her head face more towards the guy or the body. And then there's axis weight and various other things you can use as well here. Experiment with these a little bit and try and get the best results. Again, this is a lot more detailed than it was in previous versions of iClone, but again, just try and find the situation which looks best for you. I think this one we're looking okay here. Try and get her face in the sun a little bit there. Okay, we'll just work with that. And then just go ahead and set free at frame 1. And then go to somewhere where, she might be looking at him. Let's put on the volumes lower again this time. Sorry, it was so high last time.
I don't understand why they're talking.
Okay, so maybe right before she kind of looks up and shakes her head, then we can have her look at him a little bit. So pick target right here. And again, we want to maybe just increase that head value there a little bit. And where you find all the look at stuff is in your character under constraints. Okay, because look at is a constraint. So let's use constraint. We'll focus on that now. We don't need the motion and expression anymore. Try to get rid of the tracks that I don't need. So under constraint, you'll see look at right here, and you'll see the look at object. And you also have the option to keyframe the body weight and the head weight, like what I was showing earlier. But if you click on the first frame here, let's see, she really just kind of snaps. She snaps into place there, which is never good. Okay, you never want a character to snap like that. If we play it back at real-time speed, it's like it looks really stupid, right? So what you can do is just extend the blend area here. It's like this. And what you can also do, if you find that the blend area is I think it looks pretty good right off the bat, but sometimes you may want to right click on the keyframe and use a transition curve as well. This one automatically put an ease out. You can also try ease in and ease out. And that just kind of dictates the transition curve between the first blend keyframe there and where the actual look at constraint starts. So, use those, mess around with those, try and get your everything looking naturally. Okay. And then, maybe down here after she's this is where she shakes her head, I think, right over here. Okay, so we'll just actually move that up a little bit. And again, don't worry about these head weights. They're going to remain the same. So maybe something like here. Then we select set free. And let's extend that transition area here as well. There we go. It's a little too fast and too linear. Okay, the ease out I find doesn't often work too well for these look at constraints. So just be aware of that. Transition curve, let's use it ease in and ease out. That's always kind of more natural to do that, and you can extend it to whatever you want. Okay, so she looks up at him like that and then comes back down, shakes her head like that. Okay, so just using Digital Soul and a quick look at, you have a really natural looking performance with this one character. All right, so let's go ahead and play that.
I don't understand why they're talking for so long. I thought we did great.
And maybe the coming up was a little bit too fast. And again, just play around with those and get what you want. Again, I'm not going to be too picky about it, but we'll work with that. Now let's move on to the next guy. We got about 10 minutes left here, and hopefully I can figure out this goofy problem with the with Zoom and AccuFace. All right, I got some suggestions here from some people, so we'll troubleshoot later. But I want to show you some more of the facial editing first before we do the comparison. Okay, so again, let's just play back this at a lower volume.
Understand why they're talking for so long. I thought we did great on the project.
Okay, so after she's finished, then I'm going to go to my dude up here, and make sure he's selected. I think he's selected. Yep, Steve. All right. Then we'll work with Steve. Now, again, when Steve is listening to her, he's not just like he's not going to be like stationary, like a robot. Okay. Again, this really depends on your camera angle and a lot of things. But what I like to do again is the digital soul pack is also good for passive listening as well. So it's not only for performing talking motions, it's also for passive listening. So if we go to frame one for Steve, we can just throw in like another one of those things right here. So there's ones that have like listen. Okay. Um, something like looking around maybe, or look up, look front. These ones are all like just very, very subtle. Maybe he's looking up interested. We'll just throw this one in. Let's move to his face so we can see what it looks like. Okay, and let's take off the constraints. He doesn't have constraints. And just throw in his expression track. Okay, so there's a look up interested. And this one goes for pretty long. Okay, so this is good length for the listening.
I don't understand why they're talking for so long. I thought we did great on the project.
Okay, so very subtle head movement. This one's very subtle, almost too subtle. Okay, you can see a smile right there on his face. And if you like a certain part of it, again, you can adjust that. And on top of it, you can just throw in like other things like some head movement using the direct puppet tool. So one thing I like to do is use direct puppet, which is kind of a fast and dirty and easy way to create body motions, natural looking body motions on your characters. So let's go to modify here under animation. There's something called direct puppet. And if we click on direct puppet with Steve selected, we can do something like select his head and use something like primary rotation, screen-based rotation, whatever. And if we play back,
I don't understand why they're talking for so
you can have him stretch like that. I'm going to put her volume down just for now, since we're going to focus on him. Something like maybe primary rotation can also work as well. This is more character-based, okay? So if he's like nodding like this. Okay, let's just go ahead and maybe try and a little bit of volume so I can kind of time it with what she's saying. And we're just going to go ahead and record. And when this records, we're going to have something up here in the motion track. So let's go ahead and press that.
I don't understand why they're talking for so long. I thought we did great on the project.
Okay, so there's his just nod right there. Okay, and like I mentioned, that gives you a puppet clip in the motion track now. So if we play back, this is what we have.
I don't understand why they're talking for so long. I thought we did great on the project.
Okay, cool. Good enough. And you can add some like shoulder movement in there as well, something like this. Now keep in mind that when you record these motions, that what you want to try not to do is when you do a second layer of recording, you don't want your second layer to be shorter than the original puppet clip. And I'll show you why. Because it's basically going to cut a lot of stuff off. If we just preview the shoulder movement here.
I don't understand why they're talking for so long. I thought we did great on the project.
Again, it's going to be very, very subtle movement. But if I record and I cut it off before the length of this clip here.
I don't understand why they're talking.
Basically, it's just going to like blend into that clip. And sometimes it creates like, it depends on what you're mixing. Sometimes it creates a very like weird kind of clipping. We got lucky this time. And we saw some like natural movement. We can also like stop here and we can start recording again.
So long. I thought we did great on the project.
Okay. And there you go. So it just kind of created a second clip. And again, normally that would have a bit more clipping. I guess I was subtle enough that it didn't have clipping, but yeah, try to avoid creating multiple clips within the length of like your original clip. That's all I can really mention about that. Luckily, it worked out pretty well in this case, but so now we have this. We have this guy just kind of like.
I don't understand why they're talking for so long.
Oh yeah, I saw the head there. I didn't notice it the first time, but you can see the head right there. clip in like one frame right there. Okay, so that's what you all want to avoid doing. Again, you can generally like blend these clips together and avoid that. There's so much stuff you can do to avoid that. I think it worked out okay.
For so long.
You know, we can work with that. That's fine.
Talking for so long.
Nope. The blending was not good there. So again, whenever you're doing this, try not to make your second take shorter than your first take, or your third take shorter than your second. If need be, just make it like longer and just break the clip later on. So I'll show you what I'll do here in this case. We'll just direct puppet from the beginning. Use the shoulders. Let's just record really quickly.
I don't understand why they're talking for so long. I thought we did great.
Oh, we have screen-based movement. Gosh darn it. Make sure you're rotating, not moving your character back and forth. Again, you can just experiment with this. But again, like I mentioned, it's quick and dirty.
I don't understand why they're talking for so long. I thought we did great on the project.
Okay, so now we have a clip without that the clipping.
I don't understand why they're talking for so long. I thought we did great on the project.
And again, you can always break it off if you want and cut out different parts. Let's do his dialogue really quickly, and then we'll end it off and just try and do that troubleshooting, and I'll answer questions as we move along here. So let's go ahead then, and after she finishes talking, we're gonna have him. This time I'll just go ahead and use LiveFace just for fun. I can add expressions onto that. So let's create our script. AccuLips, and I'm going to load in a second audio file here and generate text. Now this guy has a weird kind of Southern accent, so the transcription's not going to be ideal here. You can see here there's a whole bunch of like nonsense words. So what I often try to do is play it back.
I have no earthly clue. You think the cupcakes were a bit much.
Okay, so here he's supposed to be saying, I have no earthly whoops. Clue. Do you think the cupcakes were a bit much? So this is referring to, of course, to their presentation they just did.
I have no earthly clue. You think the cupcakes were a bit much. Ah, me. Who doesn't like cupcakes?
And he says, I mean, who doesn't like cupcakes? All right. So sometimes you might have to like redo the entire thing, right? Or for expediency's sake here, I'm just retyping the whole thing and reclicking a line here, and we'll get a better result. And then we can just go ahead and apply it to the character. All right, apply. Okay, so let's make sure we have Steve's vising track open here. Let's just check the result real quick.
I have no earthly clue. You think the cupcakes were a bit much. Ah, me. Who doesn't like cupcakes?
All right, cool. I think that, you know, the lip sync is obviously pretty decent. Again, we can just have him, we can mix that in now with some, because it creates an entire expression clip for us here. And whenever we want, we can just go ahead and use plugins, Motion Live. Let's load up LiveFace here real quick. Luckily, I have that taken care of. And you won't be able to see me on the LiveFace since I just don't have mirroring enabled. It's kind of strange. It's this whole facial animation webinar. We might not even see my face. 168. I just shaved today just for this webinar. 1.68. No, I didn't really. Let's go ahead and fix this up anyways. Make sure your IP address, of course, is the same as your webinar or as your LiveFace app on the iPhone here. Make sure that's enabled. There we go. Steve, we'll use LiveFace for him. And again, you can set a zero pose. Normally not too necessary, but put a neutral face for your iPhone. And then now since we have this character lip synced already, the lip sync is already taken care of with AccuLips. We need to mask out the mouth, and often you want to mask out the jaw too, just in case you accidentally kind of open your mouth or something like that. You just want to be able to focus on only the eyes and the cheeks, and you want to have this head orientation available as well. Now, there's various things like strength and denoise, which I can explain to you a bit more later. We have webinars that go specific, or tutorials rather, that go specifically into this in more detail. But let's take a look at what it looks like now.
I have no earthly clue. You think the cupcakes were a bit much? I mean, who doesn't like cupcakes?
Okay, so that's just me doing the performance of the face there. You can see there was slight head rotation. Let's just go ahead and do that real quick and throw in my performance.
I have no earthly clue. You think the cupcakes were a bit much? I mean, who doesn't like cupcakes?
Okay, so that's just adding in some very subtle facial animation there. So you can disconnect that. And there's our puppet clip right here. Okay, so now let's take a look at something really quick. I wanted to show a really quick example of the expression editing here. So under expression, you'll find feature tracks and you'll find morph tracks. Let's close down the Visime and everything right now. Close down project and focus on these ones. So under expressiveness, you have expression layers. So feature tracks right here. So you have brows, eyeballs. These are all separate here on separate layers. But say, for example, in a case you wanted to, have the eyebrows move separately. There's only one brow track right here. So go to under expression and go to like morph tracks. And under morph tracks, you get a lot more detail here. So, you have things like the brow. You have brow raised left, brow inner right. Okay. So you can modify these ones separately. If, for example, I move in a little bit closer here and somewhere where he's raising his brows here. Let's just double click on in this track right here. And you can see that it opens up the face key editor under modify. And we have it specifically for brow raise inner left. So we can maybe just go over here and brow raise inner left. Okay, you can see it's very, very subtle raise. Let's make that a bit more extreme so you can see it a bit better. Okay, that's obviously a bit exaggerated, but you can see the inner left raise is right there. So this is new with iClone 8. Now you have the ability to do a lot more detailed facial editing. You can go back here and just, reset to 0. Okay, and that takes it back down to 0. Again, resetting to 0 creates an absolute key for all the tracks, so just be aware of that. You can see here, left inner raise. We could probably emphasize that with a left or inner left raise and outer inner left and outer left drop. So let's do maybe a value of like negative 100 here. Okay, so now you can see the big difference with the eyebrow. Maybe stretch that out a bit. But really, the only thing I want to show you here is just the ability to use these individual morphs here to modify just more subtle details on the character's face. So let me just so you can see his eyebrow kind of does like a wave. But we do that like very, very subtle editing. And then if you did something like you go to expression and like feature tracks here, and we use something like over here, double click on cheek. You can see it adds a keyframe right there, and we go to the cheek here. The cheek can be used for the muscle groups. So if we that's really extreme right there. It totally took him out there. That actually affected the blink as well. You can see the blink keyframe there. But those are the tracks that are affected by this here. So just be aware of that. Those are the various ways you can edit. We did really mess up his eye there for sure. But yeah, that's really all I want to go through here. I'm going to try one final thing here. I just got a tip from someone here. If I can go into Zoom and see if this works. Get your questions prepared though, because we're going to do the Q&A right now. And after I do this quick little troubleshooting here, we don't have AccuFace open. So in Zoom, someone mentioned here, use Alt-V when you're in Zoom. Let's see what that does. Alt-V. Oh, that uploads. I think that was just the OBS video. Okay, let's try that anyways. I'm loading up AccuFace here. At least we got the video part taken care of. Oh. Let's try it again. Um, Alt V. Oop, it just totally took over. Obviously, if I was to start the video or start the webinar again, that would be easier just to go exit and start back up again here. But I don't have that option, unfortunately, at the moment. Um, yeah, it looks like we might be a little bit hooped on that aspect of things, guys. So apologies for that. Stop video. I think maybe the sharing. No, I don't know if that'll do anything. Oh, that's a bummer. All right, well, share. Okay, anyways, we'll try more of that throughout the webinar, throughout the Q&A here. Cool. Okay, cool. Thanks for being sticking with me here, guys, while I did some live troubleshooting. Unfortunately, it didn't end up working, so we'll have to remember that for when we record in the future. Okay, cool. But yeah, a couple of questions. We're going to get started here on the Q&A, so feel free to put in your questions. Let's see if I can start my, so you can maybe at least see my face. I might have to, yeah, this video thing is really annoying. All right, anyways, we'll go to the questions here as I try to live troubleshoot through the webinar here. Question from Jack asks, does iClone or CC support rigging quadruped or other non-biped characters? Jack, it's a great question. I get this question in almost every webinar. And the truth is that we're working on it. Quadruped support in the future. For those of you who aren't aware, quadruped is more than 2 legs, like animals and stuff like that, or putting as many legs as you want. We are working on that. I don't have an ETA on when we're going to include that, but it will likely be in the next version of CC as opposed to an update later on. So that will be still a ways in the future. I'd say a year or so. Next question is from Mario. I was unable to capture more than 1 minute and 30 seconds from a pre-recorded video. AccuFace just stops to capture after that time. I was also unable to resume my capture from that breakpoint. How to resolve this? Okay, so 1 minute and 30 seconds is a fairly long capture for one video. What you want to make sure is that you have enough. I mean, my first troubleshooting thought would be to make sure you have enough frames, your project length. Okay, so if you have less than 1 minute and 30 seconds worth of frames in your project, it's automatically going to stop there. So make sure that you have enough frames in your project. Otherwise, again, it will stop. If that doesn't work, I mean, I've never really recorded more than 1 minute, I would say, of live facial capture, but you might want to just, split it up into different clips and put it together later in the video editing software if that doesn't work, because that might be a bug. And there's really nothing you can do in terms of bugs, but report it to our customer support, and they will take a look at, getting that fixed. You know what? I can actually have a video prepared because I want to show you guys the comparison between the LiveFace and AccuFace here. I have the video of the demo I did earlier. Let me just try and load that up because you can still see the video on my screen, hopefully. And hopefully this will help you here, get a comparison. Let me just go back to that frame where it's at. And I'll just kind of walk you through this. This will be a pre-recorded video. Okay. Okay, here we go. Let's bring this onto the screen. Can you guys see this video okay? Just let me know in the chat. Can you guys see the video that's playing okay? That's my face. And I'm loading up Kevin with AccuFace and with LiveFace. Let me see here. Okay, great. Awesome. All right. Seems a lot of people can see it. So one of them has, I believe it's the one on the left that is using LiveFace, and the one on the right that is using AccuFace. Now take a look specifically on the eyebrow performance of the one on the right. compared to the one on the left. Okay, so that the one on the right is AccuFace. So what I'm doing here, okay, let me just go back here. What I'm about to do is what's called a plosive. And a plosive is when you puff out your cheeks in the front, or make like a kind of like a big gorilla look for your lips, like put your lips out like. You'll see me do it in just a moment here. And on that point in particular is where the iPhone excels, because the iPhone uses a depth cam, and that is better able to detect the distance a part of your face is from the camera. So if you stick out your lips area, like a gorilla or something like that, the character on the left, you're going to see him move out his face a little bit more. I'll pause it when that happens here. Okay, there you go. So here's a very good example of the difference. Now the angle is slightly different, but the character on the left is using the LiveFace. Okay, Kevin on the left is using LiveFace, in which the plosives are a little bit better. So you can see the cheeks puff out. AccuFace is not the best at that. And the reason I mentioned for that earlier is that AccuFace really relies a lot more on AccuLips as a complementary technology for the mouth performance. So if you're saying something like, power or something like that in AccuLips, you're going to get a very good like power like lips result using AccuFace. But you can't look like it wouldn't be very good for looking like a stubborn child or something like this, for example, on the left. Okay, but if you look at the eyebrow performance, oops, let's go here. Look at the example on the right, which is AccuFace, and the example on the left, which is LiveFace. Okay, so the eyebrow performance is a lot stronger. You'll see a lot more creases, and the wrinkle AccuFace is a lot better at interacting with the wrinkle performance, the wrinkle system in iClone. So for those of you who aren't aware, we have a new wrinkle system that was just launched, I think his last version, and it adds a lot of realism to the characters. So if I do something like this, okay, you'll see that the plosive again is a different result, but the brow and eye performance is better on AccuFace. Okay, I'm just going to try and pause at certain parts here. Again, you can see the brow performance here compared to what it looks like on my face. And try and find a part where I have a fairly high expression. Okay, so that one looks pretty similar. So again, you can see here the iPhone has a very emphasized lip performance, whereas AccuFace has a more accurate lip performance in this case. Okay. Trying to find something with the lips, or sorry, the cheeks and the nose. If you scrunch up your nose, AccuFace is very good at picking that up. Something like this. So you can see here, the angle is actually a lot better too, using AccuFace on this one. And you can see that there's, slightly more wrinkles on the nose, especially on the bridge of the nose there. So the performance here, AccuFace for me is better, particularly for the eyes, capturing the eyes and the brows, and therefore emphasizing the wrinkles there. Pause it there. This is a very good example right here. So if you look at my face up here, you can't really see it, but my right eye is closed there. So the iPhone didn't really capture much of this. I'm not sure what happened there, but the iPhone didn't capture as much of it. And you can see the capture with AccuFace here is very good. So with the wrinkles, okay, on the forehead there, and it's my eyebrow, the inner eyebrow is probably fairly high because I modified that. My particular face, I'm not very good at raising my inner brows. It just feels awkward to me. So I kind of use that as a handicap. We talked about the facial calibration earlier. I raised the inner brow value, so it kind of looks more like this as opposed to like that. But definitely the eye closing performance and the wrinkles on the forehead, you're getting better results with AccuFace there, especially right there as well. Another really good example. of the difference. I think the AccuFace outperforms LiveFace on this one. Trying to get some. That one's a pretty similar for that one. I think you guys kind of get the point though. So I just wanted to go through that and kind of show you and pause on certain specific areas where I found the performance to be, fairly different. Okay, that's pretty much all I did. Cool. So we kind of got to show you something there. So thanks for sticking with me there. We'll have to make sure we get the Zoom webcam thing figured out for the next one. Okay. So we'll go back to the questions here anyways. So I think that was one I answered from Mario. Okay, another question from Jack saying here, would you ever record some tutorial content for this Rococo animation content as Reallusion is a sponsor for it? Yeah, that's a really good suggestion, Jack. I think that we can help our brothers at Rococo out a little bit. Maybe just throw in some tutorial stuff that helps them out. I use the Rococo suit as well on occasion, so I think I can whip something out there. That'll have to be up to our tutorial team to get something out there for that. And Rococo has the new helmet cam as well. They just launched, or the new helmet that you can throw on. It's pretty good. Okay, question from Robinson Sam. Is Digital Soul compatible with custom characters or only CC4 characters? Very good question, Robinson. That's a really good one. The Digital Soul is compatible with all characters. You don't really need to worry about what type of character they are. However, your performance is going to vary, and that is due to the facial profiles that I mentioned earlier. If I throw in, I'm just going to load up Character Creator real quick because I think facial profiles are kind of an important thing that are often overlooked, especially for people who aren't familiar with them. Facial profiles, when you have a custom character, especially, they're important. And this goes into a lot more modeling stuff, like when you're using ZBrush to model the expressions on your characters. Or I'm actually working on a series of tutorials right now where we take a scanned character we got online, and we convert that character into a CC character via Headshot 2.0. And there's the expression template. You have to create a profile for that specific character. Well, those tutorials should be launched on Friday, I think. So you get to see those. Make sure to keep your eyes open on our YouTube channel. So let's just throw in, whoever. Talking Kevin. Kevin seems to be the go-to guy today. And once we load this up, I'll show you the expressions. Progressive texture loading, another great feature. So you'll see under here, rather under actor, you have the facial profiles. Now, if we go in here, again, you saw that earlier that I used that Angel Alonso character, which was Derek right here. He has his own facial profile. And that's what, good developers will do is they'll also release a good facial profile, especially if they're a stylized character like these Toon characters here. You can see there's also a couple other characters in that pack. Kofi and Nemi, they have their own facial profiles as well. Now, what these do is if you go into the facial profile editor right here, you can see if we have our dude, not his beard selected, Kevin selected, and we go to edit expressions. Kevin has what's called a CC4 extended profile. Gotta wait for it a little bit longer. You can see CC4 extended right here. That's another profile that you throw in. That's in the content manager there as well. Right up here, CC4 extended. And this one contains 140 separate blend shapes. You can see the CC4 standard only has 60 blend shapes. So one has a lot more detailed expressions than the other. And you can see the profile editor here, for example, with the extended, If we go over to like mouth base, for example, you can see there's mouth smile right. Okay, that's one blend shape. Mouth smile left, another blend shape. Okay, so these are all just kind of combined together. So there's a mouth smile right, and then there's a mouth smile right sharp. Okay, and you can use those in combination to create multiple times more detailed expressions. There's not just one, mouth smile. There's a whole bunch of mouth stretch. There's mouth frown. Okay, and you normally wouldn't want that severe of an expression, but stretch right. So if you took this and you took this and you took this, you combine them together, you get a really extreme level of smile like that. So the facial profiles contain all different blend shapes for that specific character. And that's why they're very important. I just really want to bring that up for those of you who aren't aware about it. And you want to apply the right one to your character. Now, you can customize these yourself as well. You can set the values yourself. But that's a whole nother can of worms we won't open right now. So that was originally stemming from the question about Digital Soul being compatible with custom characters. Yeah, Digital Soul is made for the CC4 Plus Extended. Okay, so if you have this profile, you're generally good to go. Again, but every character is different. So, Jack, talking about your first question about a centaur or a dragon. Yeah, I think we have a lot of people who want to mess around with dragons in this virtual environment anyways. Next question is from John. I know the main intro to AccuFace video you did, you mentioned that 1280 by 720 at 30 frames per second is fine for AccuFace. Would you suggest using higher settings or resolution frames per second if available? Very good question, John. And I've found that when I was preparing for this webinar, I actually was messing around with 3 different webcams. And I found that the higher resolution for all of them actually had better performance. So yeah, I do recommend using 1920 by 1080, which I believe is the highest level available for AccuFace. Very good question. I want to get that information out to everyone. I have personally seen better results with the higher resolution. Now, the 30 frames per second, I think that's the highest you have anyways as an option. But yeah, use generally a higher frames per second because you're getting more data in. And the higher resolution is more accurate, more detailed data. Thanks for that question, John. John has another question here. Is there a way to link eye gaze for the eyeballs? We're getting chameleon eyes where one eyeball is out of sync with the other, but it's not in the actual video footage. Oh, man. I don't think there is at this time. I'm sure you guys are aware AccuFace kind of just launched. I guess it was last month now. We don't have that option to link the eyes, and it would be kind of something maybe a little bit difficult to integrate. You'd be like, which eye do you follow? Or like, stuff like that. But yeah, I don't think we have that feature, John. It's not really an odd question, but it could be useful, but I haven't seen it. So question here from Ken. I have LiveFace installed on an iPhone 8 and it works great. Upgraded to an iPhone 13, and last time I used it, LiveFace makes the lips jittery. Interesting. I've always just used my trusty old iPhone 10, so I haven't messed around with 13, but I'm thinking why that would happen. The newer, I mean, they haven't, as far as I know, they may have updated the AR kit a little bit, which may mess around with the lip performance. That's kind of a good question, Ken. I can't really give you a solid answer on that one, but I think that yeah, that's a case-by-case basis. Maybe if anyone else has a problem with if they've updated like to a newer iPhone and they've experienced decreased performance via upgrading to a newer iPhone, maybe just put your experience in the chat and we can kind of have a little conversation about that. Cool. So Hugo mentions he has an iPhone 15 Pro Max, but no issues so far, it looks like. But yeah. All right. Question from Zola. Hey, Zola, how's it going? Is there an advantage to using AccuFace over iPhone LiveFace? Yeah, I finally got around to kind of demonstrating that. They both have their own advantages. Like I said, the main iPhone advantage is the plosives, sticking your lips out like a marshmallow or like a stubborn child, I like to describe it as. That is the advantage that the depth cam has. AccuFace doesn't have that advantage. Of course, AccuFace has the advantage of, being able to import video. So you can pre-record it. I mean, you can like literally record on your iPhone, and then you can import the iPhone video into AccuFace later on. Yeah, that's the main advantage is the video recording for sure. And I have found as well, like I just demonstrated the facial, the eye performance for me is a big one. Okay, another question from Zola. If I upgrade to iClone 8, can my iClone 7 and 8 run side by side on my PC? Yeah, absolutely. I don't really know why you'd want to do that. I guess maybe comparing different projects, but if you're using iClone 7 and iClone 8 simultaneously, you're just using resources that I don't think need to be used. So I would try and use them. I mean, it's not, yeah, iClone 8, you'll want to have as many resources available as possible. But yeah, you can do that for sure. You can run them side by side. Question from Crazy Horse. Hey, that name sounds familiar. In the Motion Live plugin using LiveFace, is there a way to turn off the convert speech to text feature when recording audio? So using LiveFace, convert text to speech to text feature when recording audio while capturing with a mic. It always fails and it takes a long time to process. Yeah, I think you're kind of demonstrating what I just showed with the cowboy, the Southern guy with the Southern accent. There is a feature in iClone. Where was it here? Motion Live. So if you're using LiveFace, I think I still have mine connected. Yeah. So you have the audio for Visine track here. I think if you deselect load matching script file, that will not transcribe in AccuLips. Try this option. I think I used this option before, this load matching script file, and it didn't transcribe it. I may be wrong there, but try and keep that. Try and mess around with that option. Otherwise, if it's not that one, I don't really know, because you need the audio for the Visine track. Your source is, in this case, a microphone. I think it's this one. I don't want to experiment right now, but give that a try, Crazy Horse, and see if that works. Aside from that, you'll have to just, again, do the realignment and transcribe manually, which I know it takes a while, but, it's all about the good results in the end. Another question from Zola is, all iClone 8 and CC4 content extended license, can I export to Omniverse? Yeah, so in terms of licensing for content, our default Reallusion content, the stuff that comes with iClone, there's no real worry about exporting that. It can be exported, no problem. It can be used in any project you want. We just make sure that we just ask that if it's a commercial project that you credit Reallusion and mention that Reallusion content was used in the making of this production. That's really all we require. So yeah, it can be exported to Omniverse for sure. A question from Hugo. Okay, so this is what I was doing earlier. I think this one is obsolete now. Yeah, hopefully I think I demonstrated a little bit about kind of the differences between the two. So if you can make your own choice. Question from Rosemary. I don't use AccuLips or Replica Studio because they use different languages. How do I use AccuFace with my own recordings for my characters? Lip syncing is very important for what I do. Or can I use AccuLips with my own recordings? So thanks for the question, Rosemary. I get to ask this pretty often about using AccuLips with different languages. At the moment, we're still looking at developing support for other main languages. We don't have that at the moment, but with a different language, there's various ways that I didn't really get into that you can optimize your lip performance with AccuLips, with AccuFace. And I always get those mixed up. These similar names are going to be the death of me. But yeah, there's different ways you can optimize your lip performance. One of those is the strength sliders. I'm still open here. So using these strength sliders here, you can adjust various, the mouth smile, mouth frown. If you find that your performance is over exaggerated, you can turn your mouth strength down. Another thing you can do, I don't really recommend using smooth if you want accurate lip syncing, because smoothing will just kind of use calculations to smooth out, you know, your lips, and that often doesn't. When you're talking, your lips are moving quite fast, and smoothing will kind of just slow things down. So I don't recommend using smooth. But denoise is a good one, because this kind of particularly if you're experiencing lip jittering or any jittering really on your face, activate denoise. What this does is it's I know it's a calculation thing as well, but denoise often will prevent any sort of jittering. Again, this one's for the jaw and the mouth. If you're talking about the lip syncing, mess around with these ones and try and get the best thing you can. Masking is not going to do much in this case, but yeah, for the ideal AccuLips or the ideal lip performance with AccuFace, I recommend using denoise and strength in moderation. Again, don't use smooth, but you can always adjust the lip syncing later on. Again, that's manually. I know it's kind of annoying, but that's one option for you for sure. Okay. Question from Craig. In the face key under expressiveness, there is a key all expressions option. Please explain the function of that option. Key all expressions option. Now let me go back into that. Okay. Let's test it out on Steve here. Steve. Key all expressions. Okay, so key all expressions. If you have this, it's basically going to key the expressions here and the expressiveness layer. So just basically just keying everything, You can see here, it keys the expressiveness and all of the expressiveness layers as well. Okay, if you have that selected. Okay, if you don't have that selected and just go this, it's just going to only key in the expressiveness track. Okay, hopefully that's clear as mud there, Craig. Okay, let's go to the next question here from Peter. Can you show how to correct in AccuFace bad mouth placement after calibration? The lips on my character get smashed together sometimes. One of our webinar co-hosts here is actually answering that via typing, but I just want to give my feedback on that. That happens pretty often for me. Now, one thing that you can do is I've found, maybe it's because I have a small mouth or something. It's not really that small, but I find that if I kind of just have a slight smile on my lips, that avoids that situation. So again, the calibration doesn't involve your mouth that much. So again, there's a couple of kind of workarounds that I've found personally. And one way is, I wish I could show you my video right now, or my face. But one of them is that I find useful is to kind of not press my lips too close together. Another thing that I found works sometimes in the past is when you're actually doing the calibration, have your lips maybe slightly apart, or slightly together. Like press them together or have them slightly apart, depending on which way the lips are moving. That's another way to do it. So I talked about that. Yeah, it's smiling slightly. When I say smiling slightly, I don't mean a big goofy smile on your face. I mean just like the kind of smile you have when you're slightly agreeing with something. Those are two things that I find. And the third thing I'll mention as well is that even if you start your calibration, if your calibration is perfect, when you start off AccuFace, move your lips around, move your jaw around, especially. I find that the lip performance improves after you do a little bit of previewing. And now this is just me. I don't know the technical aspect to it, but I find that when I go like open my mouth, jaw like a lot, and move my jaw from side to side, almost like you're doing some dynamic stretching of your mouth before you're ready to actually record. I find that after you do that, it kind of like self-adjusts and it kind of fixes the lip position to avoid the breakage of the lips meshes going together. Those are the three troubleshooting steps that I would take. And to me, the last one always works, at least temporarily. Again, so yeah, give those all a shot. Uh, okay, question from Chris. I had trouble with two characters not accepting all the dialogue. The last update seems to fix this. Oh, okay, great. Good to know, Chris. I think it was Hugo or someone that had the previous questions. So to answer your question there, Chris was able to update in the latest version here, and that all seems to be fixed. For those of you who aren't aware, iClone is now at version 8.4. So make sure you go up to about iClone. Make sure you're up to version 8.4 here on your product version. Okay. And if you're not, go to Revision Hub and update. Okay. Question from Rob. Yeah. AccuFace just came out, so they're still working on it. Yeah, for sure. Cool. Rosemary, can you swap between both AccuFace and LiveFace on the same character? Yeah, you definitely can. You can't do it simultaneously, obviously, but you can record with AccuFace and then like later record with LiveFace. No worries. All you got to do is in the Motion Live panel, just select which option you want, which again can be found down here. So Steve, we can give him AccuFace, but it's not linked, obviously. We can give him LiveFace. Oh, and these need to be linked. Yeah. There you go. Whoops, selected the body there. Okay, so LiveFace can be selected. AccuFace not, because it's not linked up yet. Right. Anonymous attendee asks, what is the best source for characters? I can't find what I want in the Real Legion store. Teenage boys and girls, photorealistic. There's tons of sites, anonymous attendee for scanned models that you can find. Tons of sites online. I mean, what I would recommend for you is taking a look at the tutorials we're going to launch this weekend. Those talk about where you can get various scanned characters, teenage boys and girls for photorealistic. We do have our own in the content store, but again, you said you've taken a look in the content store. We have that whole scanned pack that I've actually used for this character here, the female character. She's a scanned character. Obviously, the lighting here is not ideal to really show her facial features in detail, but I think she's a 2K character anyway. She's not 4K, but you can see the level of detail on the skin, which is pretty good, I think, for this character. Again, not crazily wrinkled, and the lighting is not ideal here anyways. So, but yeah. Let's go to the next one here anyways. Another one from Rosemary, very inquisitive today. I assume you can save a recording as custom to use on other characters in the future. Yes, you are 100% right, Rosemary. You can save any recorded dialogue, expressions and everything for use on another character in the future. Again, just be aware that there may be disparities in the facial features of those characters. So again, you want to try to have the correct facial profile. All right. Another anonymous. Do we get a discount on the Rococo products? I think if you buy like the full body motion capture package bundle here, you get a 10% discount on Rococo stuff. Let me just double check here. Oh, where am I here? iClone. There's a full body mocap bundle. Let me just move my chat window here. Rococo details. Yeah, okay, cool. So good question. You do get 10% off the Rococo Smart Suit Pro 2 and the Rococo Smart Gloves. All right, so you get this 10% discount off Rococo if you do buy the bundle with the Rococo profile. All right. No such luck with Accents or OptiTrack. But if you have that money, you probably don't need a discount anyways. Okay. Question from Mikolaj. What face mocap app can I use? I use an Android phone and I need to use Motion Builder and iClone. Okay, so we don't have the profile for Android phone yet, since we are, utilizing Apple ARKit, which is proprietary Apple technology. So nothing for Android phone yet. But you can easily export stuff to Motion Builder via FBX format, BVH format, Alembic format. You can import and export back and forth, no problem. So hopefully that answers your question. But in terms of the facial mocap for Android, not yet. All right. Question from Michael. Can you recommend character setups or profiles for more cartoon expressions using LiveFace and Vising? Yeah, definitely. Now, Michael, previously I mentioned in facial motion capture the strength here. For toon characters, I often find for toon characters, if you exaggerate these strength sliders, they can often get some cooler performance. Of course, if you're a very expressive, like experienced voice actor or face actor, stuff like that, you can probably do it yourself. But the strength sliders here are definitely very useful. Again, you can also go into your face key and use the expression sliders here. Yeah, she's happy. Now she's really happy. Well, not really, but this expressiveness slider here is often pretty useful. Again, you can pump this up to like whatever you want as well. Oh, I guess you can't. This one you cannot. But you can do the individual ones here. So cheek raise. Okay. Oh, it looks like it maxes out at 220. But maybe for a tuned character, you'd want her to have like freakishly large cheeks like that. All right. Yeah, and Michael, I think there's a wrinkle profile for your tune characters. I think down here. Yeah, these small ones here are good for getting the best smiles for your characters. Experiment depends on your character, of course. Experiment with these and see which one works best. And there's some for Eddie here as well. And yeah, you can mess around with that. And the wrinkle enhancement, these ones, expression wrinkles. This is comes with a wrinkles pack, by the way. This is a purchase pack, but they have the wrinkle templates for the characters as well. I know that's not really related, but all right. Thanks, Isaac, says John. Thanks, Isaac. I think he probably answered his question there. Cliff asks here, thanks for coming up with good face performance capture that doesn't rely on an iPhone. Yeah. Thanks to the hardworking engineering team that works over there at our R&D office. They're doing a great job. And yeah, I'm pretty happy we have that option available, specifically for the video input. I mean, that's something we were lacking for a long time, the recorded video input. Okay, Hugo asks, if you guys are able to include the Python library wave to lip into iClone, it would make an incredible advantage and take your software to a higher level. Oh yeah, that'd be pretty cool, actually. I'm pretty sure we can probably implement that using our Python plugin structure, using a Python API. I'm not a huge Python pro, but I assume we could probably do that. So just waiting for someone to put it in the marketplace. Another question from Mikolaj. What apps are now connected to iClone apart from the facial face? Facial face doesn't exist, but okay. So I think this is kind of a reiteration of your previous comment there, Mikolaj. One additional thing you mentioned here, can they be exported to Unreal or MetaHuman? Yeah, you can definitely. There is a video tutorial series that I did a while back. I think it's about half a year now, where you can export MetaHuman heads to iClone and then re-import them back into Unreal. So basically just taking your MetaHuman head and putting it on an iClone body, which, for those of you who use Unreal, it's sometimes kind of annoying to retarget your rigs and stuff. The MetaHuman doesn't have as many body options as you have in Character Creator for sure. So that can be a useful pipeline. But because I know there is a tutorial on the pipeline between Unreal and MetaHuman, or sorry, Unreal MetaHuman, my goodness, Character Creator and MetaHuman to customize your characters and bodies back and forth. Yeah, Isaac put that in the chat window, so thanks for that, Isaac. I believe that was Mikolaj who asked that. So you can check the chat window for the link to that tutorial there, Mikolaj. Okay, a couple more questions. We got a little bit more time here. A question from Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys. Is it possible to transfer the AccuFace captured facial expressions and transfer them to Blender's Faceit add-on? Not yet, because I mean, we just literally launched AccuFace, so that pipeline's not available yet. I know some people that have used the Faceit add-on for sure, though, in Blender. Yeah, so Bubbles goes on to explain it's a facial rig add-on in Blender, which takes the same iPhone AR kit signals. So not at this time, but that's an interesting, I mean, because AccuFace uses different technology from ARKit, I don't think that would be compatible the way you're describing it. But yeah, I mean, Reallusion's main goal is compatibility with as many workflows as possible, as many pipelines as possible. So I think they're definitely going to be working on getting that AccuFace stuff into Blender ASAP. All right, cool. Looks like we don't have any more questions. So cool. I think again, apologies you can't see my face, but we'll get that video stuff figured out for the next time we run around. Again, AccuFace is a new technology, so still have some bugs to work out. They're conflicting. They're fighting over the use of the webcam, and in the end, no one got to use the webcam. So everyone loses. Apologies for that again, everyone. But don't forget to fill out the survey form. Get the 10% discount for the content store. And again, yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks, Isaac. People are saying Isaac answered a lot of questions in the Q&A, and appreciate that. Gets things moving along a little faster. Cool. So yeah, I guess that's about it. I'll say adios to everyone. You'll have the recording sent to you via YouTube. The YouTube recording sent to you later. And I'll wish everyone a happy holiday season and a happy new year. I think this is our last one until January. So thanks, guys. Lovely to have you along here, and I'll see you in the next year.